So my key takeaway is if you're a RevOps person like me, try not to get bullied by what everybody is saying and what you're supposed to do. And I like to think of, if someone's trying to like, you need this, I like to think in my mind. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Like, bring a little levity and have some self-confidence that actually the world is ambiguous and you've got this. So I do have an offer. I host a RevOps Witchcraft office hours. It's the third Tuesday of every month. You can hop on in, hear what other RevOps people are talking about, or if you've got like, I have no idea what I'm doing, or I'm looking at CPQ vendors and I really want to hear what's going on, you can hop on in. And it's just a jam session about RevOps. So it's magical.wiki/office hours, and you can come on in. And that's all. So I guess some Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Jacki. That was awesome. Appreciate you walking through all of that. Look, this is like something that from an operations point of view, I think we've been lying to ourselves for a long time, thinking that there's got to be that single source of truth, and we're constantly on a mission to build it because it doesn't exist, and it's like at a long tail project. But I think some of the easy things that you outlined are, one of the easier things you outlined to get started is this idea of like a data document, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some of the strategies that you've put in place early on with companies that are starting down this path to get like everybody on the same page about what certain things mean in different places, in different systems? How does that data document start to grow and build within an organization?
Yeah, I'd recommend having like a data dictionary squad. So having a cross-functional team that is committed to having a data dictionary. And I think the biggest thing is not to assume everybody is in agreement on things. Things like churn, things like NRR. There's actually multiple ways you can calculate those. So bringing that beginner's mind, setting aside blame or shame or self-beat up, and really just bring your curiosity and humility to get on the same page of what those metrics, what those words mean, what those definitions mean, how we calculate those. And having a squad that's across the org that's really committed to getting on the same page about what our data is and what it means.
Yeah, I think having like those cross-functional leaders know their chunk of the business better than anybody, right, in an organization, and they've probably, if you've let it go on too long, the definitions start to get all out of whack, and they have their own way of talking about the business. We just had a presentation with Kathleen talking about that communication between marketing and finance. That's like a worlds away, right? It seems like when we're talking about operations, but like being able to talk about those things on the same terms is like a huge way to get your teams aligned. I'm curious too. Yeah, I'm curious too on the technology. So do you have like a preference? I think I asked this maybe in an earlier session around if you did have a preference for kind of that main source of truth, right? The distributed source of truth that you mentioned. Is there still a more reliable place to focus your attention on as you start? Like, I know there's new technologies and new tools being added and different metrics coming out of everywhere. But is it the CRM? Is it the map? Is it is it a data warehouse, or is it something like that? Where do you generally focus your attention on and build off of there?
Yeah. Well, totally depends on the stage of the company. Like, it could totally be HubSpot or Salesforce if you've got like 100 employees, Sure. But once you really start adding in like ERP and product and generating like product insights for sales and all that, that's the point that I really recommend that you have like a middleware 2.0 solution that's normalizing and orchestrating data across the org. My go-to right now is Synchry. Instead of being bullied by how Salesforce thinks about data, or how Zendesk or how Marketo thinks about data architecture and what makes the most sense, you can build your own data architecture that makes more sense for your entire company.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, how many times have we opened up a HubSpot instance without lifecycle stages aligned with what's already existing in a Salesforce instance, right? And how do you have those things be on the same page? And having that middleware is massive in order to make that happen.
Yeah, and a lot of times it really isn't the tech that's blocking us; it's our definitions and our alignment.
Yeah.
Like, what are our lifecycle stages, and does product agree? Or does finance agree? And the more we come to the table together to figure it out in the beginning, or even if you're like, actually, this is a mess, let's look at this. Otherwise, what normally happens, what I normally see happen is like fiefdoms of data, right? Like, well, we're sending over all these leads, and marketing is like, we've crushed our metrics, and sales is like, what are you talking about? You only sent over 2 of how we think a lead is. And that sort of fiefdom fighting, and whoever got to the CEO last, whoever has the CEO's ear last wins.
Right.
It's everywhere, and it sucks.
Yeah. Well, Jacki, we're up against time. I want to thank you for joining us today. For anybody that wants to catch this afterwards, we'll have recordings. Obviously, check out Jacki's offer, and feel free to check out her site. Once again, thank you. Best of luck going forward. And great presentation.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.